Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the sheer scale of the world's first and only US dollar trillionaire. Yeah, you heard that right. Trillionaire. We're going to track Elon Musk's extraordinary journey, taking a hard look at the facts to see exactly how a tech-obsessed kid from South Africa became an unparalleled global power player. To make sense of this massive life story, we've broken it down into 5 quick chapters. We'll start with his origins and education, move into the dot-com millions, then blast off with SpaceX and the cosmos, shift gears to Tesla and renewable energy, and finally, we'll tackle frontier tech and controversies. Let's kick things off with Chapter 1, Origins and Education. So, born in Pretoria in 1971, Musk actually packed up and moved to Canada at age 17, just to avoid mandatory military service under the apartheid regime. And his early days as an immigrant, they were gritty. We're talking grueling odd jobs, pitching in on a farm, even sweeping out grain bins at a Canadian lumber mill. Now, contrast those early days with his modern reality. He is the world's only US dollar trillionaire, steering multiple massive corporations and literally managing global satellite networks. The trajectory here is absolutely staggering. But the snowball of all that immense wealth, it actually starts right here with this incredibly modest number, $500. Back in 1983, at just 12 years old, Musk taught himself to program using a manual. He coded a basic-based video game called Blastar and sold it to a PC magazine for that exact sum. It's a tiny seed, sure, but it perfectly highlights this early, defining obsession with tech.
All right, moving right along to Chapter 2, the dot-com millions.
Following degrees in physics and economics, Musk actually dropped out of a Stanford grad program in 1995 to co-found Zip2. And look how fast things move. By 1999, he's co-founding X.com, which then merges to form PayPal in 2000. And boom, it's swiftly acquired by eBay in 2002. It's crazy to see how quickly he pivoted from creating web mapping software straight into completely revolutionizing online banking. And during those early Zip2 days, Musk was running on pure underdog hustle. He literally lived in their small rented office. Get this, he even built a giant plastic structure around a standard everyday computer just to trick investors into thinking Zip2 was powered by a supercomputer. I mean, that is some relentless sleep under the desk drive right there. So remember that wealth snowball? It picks up massive speed right here. In February 1999, Compaq swoops in and acquires Zip2 for over $300 million in cash. For his 7% share, Musk walked away with $22 million. He's in his late 20s and he's just secured his first real fortune. But he doesn't even stop to take a breath. He immediately rolls that money into co-founding X.com, which of course becomes PayPal. Just 3 years later, in 2002, eBay acquires PayPal. Now, despite having been ousted as CEO earlier over a dispute about software architecture, Musk was still the largest shareholder. So this acquisition handed him over $175 million. The takeaway here? This exit gave him the massive liquid capital he needed to literally reach for the stars.
Which brings us to Chapter 3, SpaceX and the cosmos.
Okay, this is wild. In 2001, Musk actually traveled to Russia trying to buy refurbished intercontinental ballistic missiles. Why? To send a greenhouse to Mars. When that plan fell through, he decided to just build his own rockets, founding SpaceX in 2002 with $100 million of his own money. It was an incredibly risky bet. He endured 3 failed Falcon 1 launch attempts that nearly bankrupted the entire company. But a successful 4th launch in 2008 saved them, securing a vital $1.6 billion NASA contract. Fast forward to 2020, and they pull off the Demo 2 mission, making history as the very first private company to put astronauts into orbit. But here's the thing. SpaceX isn't just about rockets. It's about global infrastructure. Look at Starlink. Development began in 2015, and as of May 2025, there are over 7,600 operational satellites in low Earth orbit. To put that into perspective, that comprises a staggering 65% of all active Earth satellites. This $10 billion project gives Musk unprecedented geopolitical influence. We saw this play out objectively during the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Musk provided free Starlink service to Ukraine, which cost SpaceX hundreds of millions. But he also controversially refused a Ukrainian request to activate it over Crimea for a military strike, citing his fears of provoking a nuclear response.
Now let's shift gears to Chapter 4, Tesla and renewable energy.
A lot of people actually don't realize Musk didn't found Tesla. Step 1 in this journey, he leads a $6.35 million Series A investment back in 2004, joining as chairman. Step 2, following some intense internal conflicts and the 2008 financial crisis, he takes over the CEO role after the original founder, Martin Eberhard, was ousted. Step 3, by driving the mass production of lithium-ion electric vehicles, think the Roadster, the Model S, the Cybertruck, Tesla hits a historic $1 trillion market capitalization in 2021. And step 4, that explosive growth resulted in a mind-boggling $1 trillion 10-year pay package approved for Musk in 2025. And that brings us to the ultimate scale of that wealth snowball we started tracking at just $500. As of July 2026, Forbes estimated his net worth at $744 billion. When you combine his assets, he officially became the world's only US dollar trillionaire. I mean, numbers like that are almost difficult to even comprehend. Finally, we arrive at Chapter 5, Frontier Tech and Controversies. Let's start with Neuralink, a neurotechnology startup he co-founded in 2016. The goal here is straight out of sci-fi, integrating the human brain with artificial intelligence using embedded devices. This tech promises some massive medical breakthroughs, potentially helping people with severe neurological conditions or spinal cord injuries. In fact, it successfully received FDA approval to begin human trials in 2023. However, Neuralink's rapid development pace hasn't been without its share of major issues. While the company conducted animal testing on macaques, famously showing that video of one playing Pong via an implant, this drew serious allegations from medical committees regarding animal cruelty and Animal Welfare Act violations. On top of that, employees have reportedly complained of botched experiments and unnecessary animal deaths due to heavily rushed timelines, which actually prompted a 2022 federal probe. Musk has also expanded far beyond hardware, stepping right into the global digital town square. In 2022, he acquired Twitter, later rebranding it as X Corp. He pledged to decrease censorship on the platform. However, reports indicate this approach subsequently led to an increase in hate speech and misinformation. His absolute control of X has made him a central, often controversial figure in global communications, drawing objective criticism for his own tweets regarding COVID-19 and his overall handling of platform moderation. And beyond social media, his influence has directly penetrated the U.S. political arena. Musk was the largest donor in the 2024 U.S. presidential election, backing Donald Trump. Following the election, he stepped in as a senior advisor to the president and became the de facto head of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. But his tenure was highly volatile. DOGE's sweeping cuts, particularly to U.S. aid, triggered intense public backlash. By May 2025, he abruptly exited the administration and engaged in a highly public feud with Trump. So as we wrap up this explainer, here is the big question. How will history ultimately weigh his unparalleled technological contributions against his highly polarizing controversies? When you synthesize everything we've explored today, from a kid selling a $500 game code in South Africa to a man commanding trillion-dollar empires, global satellite networks, and the highest levels of political influence, I want you to leave here asking yourself, what will Elon Musk's final legacy truly be? Thanks for hanging out with me today, and keep questioning.